Hey everyone, this is Paul from Monkfish. It's great to be here with you all. I'm really looking forward to the time when we can do this in person again. But in the meantime, I hope everyone's doing well and staying healthy. So diving right in here, the first title is The Garden of Flowers and Weeds, a new translation and commentary on the Blue Cliff Record by Matthew Juxon Sullivan. Matthew Sullivan is an ordained Zen teacher and Zen master. His Zen is rooted in the Korean Zen tradition, and he currently lives in Toronto, Canada, where he also teaches. The Blue Cliff Record is a collection of 100 Zen koans, which are actually teaching stories, accompanied by commentaries and verses from the teachings of the Chinese Zen masters. It was originally compiled in the 12th century, and it's considered one of the literary treasures of Zen Buddhism and an essential study manual for all Zen students. The last translation of the Blue Cliff Record was back in 1977 by Thomas and J.C. Cleary, which was published by Shambhala. The Garden is not only a new translation of the teaching stories, but it's also the first commentary by a contemporary Zen master. The Garden is jargon-free and uses personal stories to appeal to contemporary readers. Thus, the Garden is accessible not only to serious practitioners and students of Zen, but to Buddhists of any school and even to non-Buddhists as well. The theme of the book is simple. Accepting the unenlightened self with all its flaws is the most profound form of enlightenment. The Garden features a complete, comprehensive index. The Shambhala edition does not have an index, and extensive translation notes, a bibliography, a glossary, and an appendix, which includes easy-to-understand instructions on how to do Zen meditation. That art on the front cover is a rather soulful rendition of Bodhidharma by the Japanese Zen monk Sengail Gibon, which most likely dates to the late 18th century. Bodhidharma is traditionally credited as the transmitter of Zen Buddhism to China and regarded as its first Chinese patriarch. The marketing for this book will include outreach to Buddhist publications and Zen centers in North America, as well as journals dedicated to the study of world religions. We will advertise the book in Lion's Roar, Tricycle, and Bodhidharma magazines. The next title is Healing Racism Within, A Lightworker's Guide by Brett Bevel. This is the most personal of the Brett Bevel books that we've published, which now number 5, including Psychic Reiki. The book draws on Bevel's own journey to heal the psycho-spiritual baggage of his early childhood trauma, which included sexual abuse and growing up within a racist community where he witnessed a race-based murder. In non-pandemic times, Bevel is a frequent workshop leader in Reiki healing in premier holistic venues such as Omega. Healing Racism Within is the first Reiki-informed book on healing racism. Bevel infuses his insight with user-friendly exercises which most anyone can access. These include journal writing, art therapy, affirmations, lofty questions, exercising gratitude, energy healing, Buddhist and shamanic meditations, ancestral lineage healing rituals to mine one's inner landscape, and regarding race and to transform the self. From this new vantage point, we learn to become our own better angels by finding the courage to speak out, to be in service to the cause of social justice, and marry the paths of internal and external actions to create a better world. New endorsements have continued to come in since the catalog deadlines, including one by the Omega founder and author Elizabeth Lesser, who says, "As a white person, I appreciate how Brett challenges me, both with urgency and with compassion, to confront my white privilege, to own my collusion through denial and silence with our country's racist history. What makes this book different and exciting are the exercises that Brett includes, ways of exploring and confronting and changing what lies deep within. This book is an important addition to the growing library of anti-racism books that are finally a part of American literature. And there's this one from author and TV personality Ayanla Van Sant, who says, from a deep place within his heart, Brett Bevel is supporting us in realizing that racism exists not only through unjust laws and the dysfunctional systemic policies in our society, but that it exists in ourselves, in our emotions, in the brain and heart, in the ghost of our ancestors and family systems we've inherited. And that, like other forms of disease, it can be addressed and healed if we look at it fiercely and honestly and have the courage to act accordingly. Marketing will include galleys, national publicity outreach focused on spiritual approaches to racism, to include radio, podcast, and print outreach, giveaways through Goodreads, IndieBound Access, and Library Thing, as well as extensive social media campaign. The next book is The Illusion of Life and Death, Mind, Consciousness, and Eternal Being by Claire Goldsberry, and with a foreword by Richard Smalley. Claire Goldsberry is a lifelong spiritual seeker whose articles on religion and spirituality have appeared in Quest magazine and many others. Her previous book, A Stranger in Zion, about Mormonism, won the Arizona Book Publishers Award for Best Religion Book. Goldsberry is well known in theosophical circles, so this book is likely to be reviewed in Quest magazine and Parabola magazine. Richard Smalley, who wrote the foreword, is the author of over 9 books and one of the world's most distinguished authorities on the mystical and esoteric teachings of Western civilization. He is the current editor of Quest magazine and a contributing editor to Parabola. From ancient sages to modern day quantum physics, Claire Goldsberry explores the mystery of death and dying, as well as the questions of meaning and purpose of life. With her insights as a Buddhist practitioner and teacher, student of Hinduism, as well as the journey of the cancer diagnosis of her significant other and his death, she provides a unique view into living and dying as seen through the ages from those who have sought to understand the central issues of living and dying. Along the way, she explores karma, reincarnation, rebirth, examines near-death experiences, and discusses the business of illness and death and how they impact the dying experience of so many people. This unique personal and metaphysical exploration of the nature of life provides a much-needed guide to living and dying fearlessly and with grace. Marketing plans include galley mailing, national publicity campaign, including print, broadcast, and online, social media, and advertising in Parabola and Quest magazines. The next title is The Celestial Code of Scripture, the Astral Cipher underlying the miracle stories of the Bible and the Quran by John McHugh. John McHugh is a licensed archaeologist with a dual emphasis master's degree in Near Eastern and Native American archaeology from Brigham Young University. During his studies, he developed an expertise in archaeoastronomy and acquired reading knowledge of Sumerian, Akkadian, Biblical Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, and Arabic. McHugh has published articles in the peer-reviewed scholarly journals Archaeoastronomy and Ancient Technologies and the European Journal of Science and Theology, Cosmos and Logos. His research has been presented at the Society of Biblical Literature, as well as being shown on Good Morning America and National Public Radio's syndicated anthropological talk show, The Big Picture. He has extensive excavation experience in Syria, Jordan, and the Intermountain West, and has given public lectures regarding the astronomical code upon which biblical and Quranic miracles are based. McHugh works as a staff archaeologist for the Utah Rock Art Research Association and Smith Archaeological Conservancy. The Celestial Code reveals an ancient code embedded in the Mesopotamian belief system, which conceptualized the astral sky as the heavens and its constellations and planets as deities inhabiting this divine realm. Celestial tableaux were understood as historical scenes that had once taken place on Earth. Mesopotamian astronomers were regarded as magicians, the magi, whose task was to interpret and elaborate secretly on this heavenly writing, the literal writing of the gods. The Celestial Code of Scriptures is the first book to present and explain this secret Mesopotamia cipher. McHugh was a meticulous researcher. Celestial Code contains nearly 300 footnotes documenting his research and 159 illustrations, which make the findings easier for the reader to grasp. Marketing for the book includes an already confirmed commitment for a series of online interviews with McHugh from the Ancient Origins website, which is the largest website of its kind. Also planned are galleys and outreach to archaeoastronomy and alternative history outlets, social media campaign, as well as traditional publicity. This grand metaphysical system spelled out in the night sky will have enduring meaning for many readers, especially readers of the Bible and the Quran, as well as readers of alternative or hidden history from writers such as Graham Hancock. The next book is Making Peace with Death and Dying, a practical guide to liberating ourselves from the death taboo. Judith Johnson is an author, mentor, and educator whose work focuses on developing the ability to consciously thrive and evolve into our best selves. At the core of her work is the understanding that in order to thrive, we must first deconstruct dysfunctional beliefs, values, and assumptions. Only then are we free to envision and create healthier, productive, and fulfilling lives. Ordained as an interfaith minister in 1985, she serves as a chaplain at her local hospital and counsels the grieving. She has a special focus on helping individuals navigate major life occurrences. She is the author of Writing Meaningful Wedding Vows and The Wedding Planner, published by Sourcebook, which have sold over 50,000 copies. This is a practical and reassuring guide for those facing illness and death, either their own or a loved one. It explores and dismantles the death taboo, which most of us have imbibed from our culture, which allows us to finally make peace with death. This death taboo is then replaced with 9 keys for not only transforming our relationship with death, but with living as well. The keys include such central concepts as lifting above right and wrong, investigating your deepest beliefs and feelings, giving of your tender and vulnerable heart, honoring your truth, taking time and making time, entertaining uncertainty, loss, and sadness, nurturing, supporting, and serving, unearthing your treasures, and putting your ducks in a row before you go. Common symptoms of the death taboo include living in fear, being ill-informed, unprepared, and ill-equipped for death, seeking the fountain of youth rather than fully experiencing all phases of life, emotional isolation, disconnect between our wishes and reality, postponing and avoiding end-of-life planning, and the denial of the power of grief. The book also includes 36 exercises which cover all aspects of preparing for death, including practical, financial, legal, relational, emotional, and spiritual topics. Examples include how to conduct a life review, expressing greater tenderness and vulnerability, starting with making a list of the people most important to you, exploring your beliefs about death and dying, replacing any fearful images of death by creating a beautiful vision of your own death, peaceful, complete, loved, knowing that you have done your very best, ready to let go, and perhaps curious about what lies ahead. And of course, an extensive set of exercises on end-of-life planning. Marketing plans include galley mailing, online webinars, social media campaign, national publicity outreach, and an author tour is feasible. The next title is Religion of Man, International Edition by Rabindranath Tagore with a foreword by John M. Sweeney. This is, of course, a reprint with this new foreword. Rabindranath Tagore was a Bengali poet, writer, composer, and philosophy. He was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. John M. Sweeney is the author of many books. His most frequent subjects are Catholic. He has a long publishing history, first as a bookseller, then a rep, then as the sales and marketing VP for Jewish Lights, and today he's the publisher and editor-in-chief at Paraclete. Religion of Man is composed primarily of the lectures that Tagore gave on the subject of religion at Oxford University towards the end of his life. The lectures were then edited by Tagore for publication. They deal with universal and timeless themes, including the nature of God, divinity, illumination, the relationship between science and religion, and the limits of both. He argues against tribalism in religion. The Monkfish International Edition also includes introductions and prefaces found in previous UK and US editions, as well as a transcript of a conversation between Tagore and Albert Einstein on the nature of reality. Marketing plans include advertising in Parabola Magazine and the Journal of Religion, as well as a social media campaign. The last new book of the season is When You're Falling, Dive, Lessons in the Art of Living by Mark Matuszak. This is a reprint edition from Bloomsbury in 2008 with a new foreword by the author. Mark Matuszak is the author of 7 books, including Sex, Death, and Enlightenment. He is the editor, he was the editor of Andy Warhol's Interview magazine. His articles have appeared in the New Yorker and the Oprah magazine. The theme of the book is, why do some people blossom through adversity while others fall apart? The answer, Matuszak posits, is something called viriditas, which is a Latin term for the power of drawing passion, beauty, and wisdom from the unlikeliest places. Part memoir, part self-help book, always compellingly interesting. Matuszak parlays his previous role as editor at Andy Warhol's Interview magazine to access a wide range of interviewees on the subject of interviewing adversity, including Andy Warhol, Joan Didion, Elie Wiesel, Isabel Allende, Eckhart Tolle, John Kabat-Zinn, and Sogyal Rinpoche. He includes extraordinary testimonials from a Tibetan nun imprisoned by the Chinese at the age of 11, and the women of Calama, Chile, digging for their disappeared relatives, among countless others. Drawing advice and insight from these many heroic individuals, Matuszak presents a chorus of wisdom for how to survive our own lives, the vicissitudes of being human and prevail. The book has tons of rave reviews, including O Magazine, Publishers Weekly, Library Journal, Eve Ensler, Mark Epstein, and Dan Wakefield. Publishers Weekly says, Matuszak shows an uncanny skill for merging spirituality, science, and common sense into practical answers for surviving our own lives. Rebecca Walker, the author of Baby Love, says, beautiful and true. O Magazine says, a guide for keeping the psyche intact when you're being spun on life's roulette wheel. Marketing plans include select galleys, publicity outreach, featuring interviews with the author on the subject of dealing with adversity. Just a couple of updates from this current season's books. The Shruti Ram, the author of All Roads Lead to Ram, unfortunately passed away during the production of the book. Encouraged by a groundswell of support from his extensive community, we are going ahead with publication. The book will be released this coming July, so it'll be about a month late. The book now has some remembrances from some of his community, including Mirabai and Elizabeth Lesser. On a brighter note, Bright Green Lies, which was published just this last March, has had a movie version of the book just now premiered on April 22nd, Earth Day. There were 11,000 people who attended the premiere of the movie. That book is selling briskly, and we're now headed into our second reprint. So that's it for me today, reps. Wishing you all the best, good selling in the season ahead. Please stay healthy and happy.